Protocol having been established. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and a very warm welcome to you and to the Speightstown Branch Library. It is indeed a great pleasure to welcome you to the Speightstown Branch Library for the presentation and exhibition of this visual art collection donated by Norville. Today is a very special moment for me because I am part of this Speightstown community. My grandmother and my father, they were born in the major walk Speightstown, which is next to the bus stand. I was christened and confirmed at the St. Peter's Parish Church, and I even got married there. I attended the Speightstown Parish School, St. Peter's Parish Church School, So, as you know, I'm a true Speightstown person, and I always feel at home in this place. But today is even more special for me because I know the artist personally, and as the saying goes, from the time I was born. But I also learned something new, that his name is Aaron. I never knew that point until last year when he reached out to me at the library. Aaron Norville, familiarly known to us as Andy Norkii, by the local community, and to me personally as a brother, growing up in a small village of Rockland in St. James, which is just a stone throw right from here, on the hill. Andy attended the Puritan Private School, and I can vividly remember him traversing the neighborhood with a sketch pad and his art pieces in his hand. He was always seen with his art in hand. He later immigrated to Sweden, where he perfected his craft as a visual artist, and today is testimony of the great work he has produced, which will benefit not only the Speightstown community, but all those who pass through the doors of this library. When you see the wonderful collection displayed here today, it speaks of the goodness of our people. Andy, I thank you, and I am truly proud of you and your achievements. The National Library Service is deeply grateful to you for reaching out to us and donating this visual art collection. The collection is impressive in its richness of vibrant colors and thought-provoking ideas. This will certainly not only bring aesthetic beauty to our walls here in Speightstown, but also enhance the experiences of all our visitors. It will contribute to the depth of our collection and be recognized as a cultural asset to the library, with a measure of educational and research potential, which can be of tremendous benefit to our users. In many ways, visual arts can communicate a broad spectrum of ideas to people through the colors and shapes, which stir our emotions in a single glance. Visual arts can transform our understanding and appreciation of the world in all its cultural diversity. Everyone has a story to tell, and stories can be told in many formats. Visual art is just one of them. Oftentimes we have heard the adage, a picture tells 1,000 words. This is very true, and visuals can be just as powerful as words. And we will assure you that the Speightstown Branch Library will be the permanent home of this collection as you requested. We will ensure that the items in the collection are properly maintained and stored for posterity, and people will have a chance to view it. We at the National Library Service will continue to offer opportunities for our communities to create, showcase, and experience art. Thank you again for your interest and generosity in making this donation to the library. Sincerely, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. The library is extremely appreciative and grateful for your generous donation, Mr. Norville. We will treasure the collection and ensure it's properly maintained, and I echo what my director has said. Thank you again. Our next speaker is a minister in the Prime Minister's office, Senator Dr. the Honorable Shantal Monroe-Knight.
Good evening, everyone. In the spirit of the informality of the evening, I'm not going to keep you very long, just to say a couple of words to you. First, let me acknowledge the Director of the National Library Service, as well as the staff of the National Library Service. The National Library Service keeps evolving in the way that it treats to the notion of the library and its role and its purpose within community. Many of us have the traditional vision of the National Library Service, but I believe that we can see, if we look at the clear record of the initiatives that has been undertaken, certainly over the last 5 years, that we see a National Library Service that is making sure that it remains grounded within community. that is not just about people coming into the National Library Service, but the National Library Service making sure that it goes out to the community, make sure that it encourages that participation, make sure that it goes after specific groups within our society, particularly the youth, to encourage reading, but also as well making sure that it understands the true gamut of what it means to have a National Library Service that is embracing all forms of cultural expression. And I think that we should congratulate them for initiatives such as this, for recognizing the importance, because that speaks to vision. Yeah, everybody can't see it, so it takes a particular type of vision to be able to understand what it means to embrace such a collection, what it means to make sure that we are connected to art in this way. I remember it was in November, was it sometime last year, time is moving too quickly, when we had the donation of the collection by, I always call him Gabby, so the Honorable. And you know, it's just fascinating again that we see the library evolving in this way, and I really want to congratulate you. You can just put your hands together. I also want to thank very much Mr. Norville for this generous donation. I'm just, you know, it's really important when we talk about that notion of giving back. And very often we see giving back in the context of people, you know, whether they give back skills or they come and give back something that's, you know, that's very practical that we can touch. But the importance of giving back in this way, through art in this way, should not be underestimated. When I was talking earlier to Mr. Norville, he talked about the fact this is a reflection of voice, this is a reflection of journey. And if we look at the pieces, even though Mr. Norville would have left here, I believe, in 1997, right, for Sweden, you can see in all of the art pieces of culture, of our culture, right, pieces of that journey. And that is important. I often say to people, again, that we have this notion of culture that speaks to what is traditional, that continually harkens back to a particular voice and a almost like a static view of culture. And what we see here is a journey, right? What we see here reflected on the walls from this work is a journey. It tells so many different stories to engage you. They're not only reflecting, but they're also challenging you as well. Mr. Norville again was talking about this use of color that he puts, you know, in his work. And even that is also thought-provoking. I want to use this occasion as well, therefore, to challenge other Barbadians, challenge other artists throughout the diaspora to do just like Mr. Norville is doing, and to be able to give back in this way. We need it now more than ever. We need it now more than ever. In order then to be able to make sure that we continue to connect with those stories, to understand them, and to have representations of them. Again, not only for the now, but also as well for the future. Yeah, you know, I was caught. One of them particularly just stays with I can see right now. This is the one with the kites and the herringbone, right? And during Easter, no, as well. You know, do you remember that thing about the herringbones? Wow! And I say that because it's important, because we have to make sure that we don't lose those stories. Don't lose those parts of our culture and who we are that are important, and that we need to make sure that generations understand is part of who the Barbadian is. Yeah, and again, so I challenge other artists to be able to come. One of the things that we are hoping to do is to have an international internship program, and we really would like to have, again, other Barbadians throughout the diaspora that are working in areas that can afford for them to help us place the Barbadians, the students that we have now coming out of various arts programs that we are doing. So we have these students and we have to be able to place them, but not just here in Barbados, to be able to give them the international exposure. We then need those partnerships with artists to be able to provide for that. And I think here, Mr. Norville, you have given back in this way. Again, like I said, I want to be able to challenge us again to just push the boundaries so that we can have others being exposed, others being able to transcend that story of the Barbados connected with something else, and then also have a big reflection of it. And I think that's important. The last point I want to make is again something that Mr. Norville said when he talked about that notion of collaboration and working together within. And he was particularly talking about this instance, but I talk about collaboration a little bit wider in terms of collaboration that helps us to amplify the value, again, of culture, value of art, value of artists, across all different genres as well. One of the things that I am convinced once I've come to do this work within the Division of Culture is that we very often underestimate the power of culture. We talk about it, right? We talk about it, about its importance, but we see it almost in a very, I also sort of use this word instrumental way. We like the performance of it, right? We like the crop over, and we like the music, and sometimes we appreciate the art that adorns the walls. But I don't believe that we fully value the power in the cultural expression, in all its genres, in the way that that power can be used, again, to empower communities, to empower nationhood. And those things are important in the world that we live in now, because it is those things that are able to connect us, that ground us, and again, can solidify that notion of nationhood and national identity that is so important now, that we ought to make sure that we don't lose. And then if we are to do that, then we have to be able to build an ecosystem of collaboration throughout the community that transcends one particular genre. But again, that everybody sees ourselves in this task, one of encouraging the Barbadian society to be able to value our culture, value our arts, value our artists that operate it. It means then that once they are valued, we will be able to pay them what they're worth, because that is important. Like I said, we like the expression, but then very often we don't want to pay them because we don't see them as being as professional as the traditional areas. I'm speaking the truth, right? I'm speaking the truth. Right? So we got to be able to confront those contradictions. If it's so important and we understand it, then it means that we then have to be able to reward them in the same way. It means that nationally as well, that we also have to make sure that we hold those artists in high esteem, right? Amongst everybody else that we call and that we speak to. So that again, the young generation, when they say that I want to be a writer, when they say that I want to paint, that parents, that communities are galvanized around them, just as when they say they want to be a lawyer or a doctor or whoever, or fly an airplane, that we see that. But also as well, and I don't deny that we have a responsibility again as government to make sure that we create the pathways that are necessary for that valuing. This is something that we are working very hard on at the Division of Culture in a myriad of different streams. But again, we need the collaboration, we need continued dialogue and consultation with all of you to make sure that we have, one, at the policy level, the creation of policy that's very grounded, that is led by your needs, and again, and that we create a pathway for you and for us, and then for the larger society to make sure that we can amplify the stories that need to be told. Thank you very much.